Hi, this is Natalie Steffen. Today I wanted to talk to you on the topic about eloping. And when I'm referring to eloping, I'm referring to an autistic child who happens to wander. Eloping does have different terms. We can call it wandering, we can call it running, we can call it bolting, we can call it fleeing. But the most common terminology is going to be when you hear the word eloping, that means a child who has the passion and the curiosity to take off and leave from their home or any safe environment and to wander off into unknown territory. This happens all the time. It's a potentially dangerous behavior. They take off running in an instant. You can't handle this. This has happened to so many children that are on the autism spectrum. This has happened to my son. He is a runner. He will take off. We have childproof doorknobs inside of our home so that he cannot get out of the house. We take him out into public. We always have to have him holding our hand. It's very hard, even though he holds our hand, you have to be on top of your feet and be ready to bolt in case they get away from the grip of your hand and take off running. Autistic children, I'm going to go through some facts on this. Half of autistic children have this wandering curiosity to the desire to go off. They have no fear as far as they're not alert of the different dangers that are going on around them. So 90% of the cases, unfortunately, for children that do elope, they end up accidentally drowning. For some reason, autistic children are very attracted to water. So if they see a pond of water, a lake of water, a pool, anything that'll attract them and they'll want to go to the water. And since the majority of autistic children are very hard to teach how to swim, they end up drowning. So I wanted to talk about that. I wanted to explain to parents who aren't quite understanding why moms take every single precaution to keep their child safe. Harnesses. I'm going to talk to you about harnesses. Harnesses are something that a parent will place on their child if their child ever has the strength to pull away from their pull away from their parent out in public. They will place a harness on their child if they're going on vacation like I did and you're in unfamiliar territory. And if that child got away from you, he or she would not know where they're at. The problem with wandering is you have to think about the dangers that include. So parents put a harness on a child to protect them. And I think parents are very wise and very smart to do this. We do this to our toddlers when they're young, when we go in public places and there's a lot of people. So like say we're taking our toddler to a fair. I used to do that to my children, put a little backpack harness on them. That way my child would never leave out of my sight and out of my grip, of my reach. So I want to explain that harnesses are not a bad thing. Harnesses should not be made fun of. When you see somebody who's older that's in a harness, don't say anything. Don't look at them like they're strange, because an autistic child, no matter what age they are, the majority of them do not know what fear is. And some of the things that happen to autistic children when they do get away, the dangers are of drowning. If they get away, dehydration, hypothermia. If they get away and they're somewhere overnight, they can go into hypothermia. They get into car accidents. They run out in the middle. They aren't aware that it's dangerous to run out in the middle of the street, so they can be hit by a car. They can fall down and get hurt, and nobody can find them because they won't be able to get back up and go wandering. People have to put out searches for these children. They can stumble upon strangers. Now, we all know strangers aren't the best. We don't know if somebody's safe or if they're not safe. So you definitely don't want your child in the hands of somebody that you have no idea who they are, and you don't want to have to worry about, where is my child? Am I going to find my child? Or is somebody going to turn my child in? So an incredible, really good safety tactic is to place a harness on a child when you're in an area that you feel that you might lose control. And some moms like me, we have 4 children. So when you've got a handful of different children, you're going grocery shopping, you're doing things, some moms put harnesses on their kids. There's nothing wrong with that. I want people to know that not everybody that you see out there that looks perfectly normal, you can't tell an autistic child from another unless you actually study the behaviors of that child. So I want people to just open up their eyes. Don't make critical, judgmental, hardcore, hurtful comments to somebody, because you know what you're doing? You're telling a mom to, oh, I'm going to make fun of you and you need to take that off of your child. And then you're telling a mom to actually put her child's life in jeopardy. So I want you to know that that's not smart. We shouldn't treat other people like that. We shouldn't even comment about other people if we do not know what's going on in their situation. I'm going to read you something, because this is what completely got me into the topic of why I thought that it was very important that we hit the topic on eloping and why people have harnesses. Okay. I happen to post on my Facebook because I read a lot of stuff, and my son, he's 5 years old and he's autistic. When we took him on vacation, I placed a harness on him. We took him to Arizona. There was cactus all over the place. There was a swimming pool. It was an unknown territory. If my son ran off, he would, for one, be injured by cactus. For another, he would run off and I may never see him again, because it was all mountains and hills. So I'm not going to take the chance. So you can go ahead and smirk and you can say what you want, but I will never take the chance of something happening to my child because other onlookers don't understand. So I had placed on my Facebook an article about a 4-year-old boy who had gotten away from his grandmother, and this happens all the time, and he ended up drowning. And I had the most rudest remark that was placed on this, and I wanted to read this to you. So just you let me know if you think that this is really mature and that this is something that somebody should write on a Facebook of some poor parents who just lost their child from eloping and drowning. Okay, and the poor grandma must feel really bad because he snuck out of the grandma's house. And it's not her fault. It's nobody's fault. These accidents happen, and that's why we take precautions. So I had this lovely lady write on my Facebook onto that article saying, he is not a horse. Do your duty and your obligation and watch your child at all times. Can't handle that? Then stop getting pregnant. Eloper? My God, he's a child, not a deer. You so-called parents on the planet are the most laziest, irresponsible, and sick. Plain and simple. Now, that got me riled up, because I'm sorry, but you don't put that on somebody's page that happens to have a child who just died, and I was putting that on my page because my heart was broken and going out towards these parents that just had to suffer through this. So, of course, the lovely moms who read that had a couple words with her, and then she went on to say this, and this happens to be about me. On her own Facebook page, I didn't, whatever people did in their own time, if they reported her, if they did whatever, kudos for you. Whatever you want to do to stop people from making these remarks that are ugly, then you can do whatever you want to do. She happened to have 367 friends in common with me, and that is the only reason why I let her onto my Facebook, because she had people on there that I was friends with that I thought this was a loving mom who would support us and understand what was going on, what happens with our children. But to get a remark like that, obviously, she does not have any compassion towards anybody. So on her page, her Facebook page, before she actually blocked all of us on it, she put on her page, and this is referring to me, which is funny. So I was banned, reported, called out by a scary autistic mom for telling the truth. As an actual autistic being, which I don't know what you're calling, because my son is autistic and he's not called an autistic being. He is called a human being. Okay. So she calls herself an autistic being because I feel parental mothers are lazy as hell for putting leashes and harnesses on their children like they are dogs and horses. So be it. The truth hurts until it heals. Well, you know what? I don't know how old you are, but you sound like you're about 10 years old. And then as I was researching more into this lady, what really upset me was she has a web page, not really a web page, it's a Facebook page. And it claims that she is the founder, the CEO, and the creative director of the National Autism Foundation, which is a non-governmental organization. I highly doubt that. And you know what, girl? I don't think anybody needs to be turning to you for any kind of advice on autism if that's the way you're going to treat people. And just to let you know, her name is Patricia Elaine Chandler. And I hope everybody goes out and just completely, since she went on my page, did that, and then blocked everybody who had something back to say to her, I think people need to block her. And you know what? On your page that you have, that you are a CEO, a founder, and a creative director for National Autism Foundation, I don't believe you. What kind of advice are you giving out to people if people are taking precautions and trying to save their children, and you're lashing out and calling them lazy ass moms, calling them, I don't even want to go through it again. I read it to you, but I wanted to say something. Girl, don't even go there with me, because I don't play those games. I am serious about protecting my child. I love my child. No, in no way is any mom treating their child like a horse, a dog, or a deer if they want to protect their child and put a leash on him. Okay, you can call it a leash, it's called a harness, but it basically looks the same way. And I know it may not look familiar to people who don't have autistic children, but you know what? I would rather have my child safe and alive than to not do something because of smart aleck people like that come and attack autistic moms for trying to do the best that they can to raise up their children in a safe environment. So I want to get that out to you. And you know what, girl? If you have something to say, bring it on, because you've gotten under my skin. And this took me about a month that I didn't say anything, because I wanted to really think about what I was going to say. But you know what? Still a month later, I still think you're ignorant. I still think you're rude, and I still think you're hurtful. So I hope that people do not turn to you for advice, because the advice that you give them, if you're going to call them names, you are not somebody who's stable that should be running an organization. Okay? So this is Natalie Steffen, and I love everybody. God bless you, and I hope you have a wonderful night. Thank you.